Tough showing.
I mean, what can you say about how much potential money Sam Darnold cost himself in the final game of the regular season against the Lions?
Yeah.
And now this performance against the Rams in the wild card. And it was a big question all season. They drafted, the Vikings did, J.J. McCarthy in the first round. Yeah. We thought he was the quarterback of the future. He gets injured in training camp. They bring in Darnold. He has this incredible season. It's like, well, what are they going to do? Did Darnold kind of answer the question for him over the last 2 weeks?
He did, and it's unfortunate because you still want to judge the body of work, which there's a lot of good things, but when you have a guy you drafted that high, takes precedence, and there's no margin of error for Sam Darnold if he wants to be the guy next year, and he clearly had two really, really poor games. We talked about it last week against the Lions, and today as well. You come into this thing, and you sit here, and it's 2nd and 3, and you have no answer. Again, you should have your protection set up here, and there should be a blocked guy. Now, you watch this. He's locked in on Addison. He's trying to throw us out route. Right now, it's not open. It's covered. We got to go to our next progression, which is right here. I believe that's Naylor, but we still decide to force the ball. It's a huge play you missed there. This is not that complex football. In 3rd and 7, Jay, clock's running down. Now, watch what he does there. He pauses. He changes the protection. Now, he comes back. Now, watch him again here with his arm. He violently throws it down. That's going to be the signal to snap the ball. Instead of calling a timeout, he decides we're going to get this thing in. And what happens is the offensive line is not ready. So the center sees it because he's looking behind him. The offensive line gets off late, and then you see C.J. Ham there go over and pick up a guy that should have been blocked by the O-line. And then what happens? The guy C.J. Ham's supposed to be blocking makes a sack, a fumble, that turns into a touchdown. So again, I sit here and you can be like, oh, there's an unblocked guy. And I know that was a bit complex, but Jay, I look at that play, and it's just forcing it. We're running out of time. You try and change the protection. I know you don't want to burn a timeout there, but you know what else you don't want to do? Have an absolute circus occur that leads to 7 points the other way. Worst case scenario, you don't have a good play there, and you end up punting that drive, and Matthew Stafford has to drive the field, hopefully 90-plus yards with minimal time, and maybe he gets a field goal, and it's 13-3. Instead, we just mentioned it. It was 10-3 in that case, and they end up going in the half down 24-3.
24-3.
And it's simple things where it's like operationally, a veteran guy would never force all of those things. Change the protection, get the motion, violently call for the silent snap count. The offensive line isn't ready. Again, it's a circus, and I do put that on the quarterback because he's in charge.
Okay, so just confirming, if it's you're in charge of the Minnesota Vikings. You are moving on from Darnold, and you're going into next season with J.J. McCarthy and maybe even Daniel Jones, who, by the way, was the 3rd-string quarterback for the Vikings in this game.
That's the way I'm rolling, 100%. Again, it's such a cutthroat league, and it is that aggressive where it's like you have a great year, you're getting hoisted over everybody's shoulders, and you play 2 bad games, and it's very dependent on the person. Like, Jay, I got to be honest with you. If Sam Darnold had this history of being a great quarterback in this league, we're not having this conversation. But instead, there's the politics, there's the money, there's the front office. The front office and the scouts stamped their name on J.J. McCarthy. That's why they drafted him so high. And that's going to work against Sam Darnold, and I think these last 2 games kind of sealed his fate in Minnesota.
I want to talk to you about Matt Stafford, of course, but first he's standing by with Lisa Salters.
Matthew, it's been a difficult week. You guys had a lot of reasons to be distracted. Just how were you guys able to overcome all of the obstacles that you faced this week?
It's a resilient group, man. I'm so proud of these guys. Great mix of young guys, old guys. Our head coach is an absolute stud, getting us dialed in the right direction. And we knew what we were playing for today. It was go get this win, but man, it was for the people of Los Angeles struggling right now. It's been unbelievable to watch the whole community, the state, the country kind of get behind them. It's a tough time to be back there, and we're just happy that we came out and played like this tonight to get something to be happy about.
Yeah, how do you think that what's happening back at home maybe somehow inspired you guys?
Yeah, we were living it every day, and it was a tough week for us, a bunch of moving parts. Our organization did a hell of a job of taking care of us, getting us in, over here to practice, setting it up with families. It's been a whirlwind, and to come out here, play like we did in really all phases, I'm really proud of this group.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford alluded to it with the wildfires happening in L.A., a tough situation for sure, and you're playing in a neutral site game. Rams are one of 2 teams this season, just 2 teams this season beat the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
And they just seem to have their number. Were you convinced very early on that they were going to be able to get this done?
I was. I thought Brian Flores might kind of back off or have a couple different wrinkles. And Brian Flores is an interesting guy to play against. I think he does very well in what I'm going to call against new school quarterbacks, guys that are playing the current college scheme.
Yeah.
A little less complex, a little more, hey, here's the read. I don't have a ton on my plate. Matthew Stafford is a guy who can handle a lot on his plate. And we talked about Sam Darnold struggling. This was the first play of the game. Matt Stafford comes back, throws an absolute dart to Puka Nacua. This 1st and goal, we also talked about, watch this. So it's a rollout. You want to throw the tight end. You want to throw the over. And he's like, wait, it's called an all day. He flips all the way around. It's 3rd, maybe 4th in the progression. Here, notice he moves the backup, covers the blitzing linebacker, so he's good there. We call him quick screen. We get 10 yards. Puka figures this out. And then this one is prime example for me why Matthew Stafford can really beat Brian Flores. So the Vikings are going to bring 7. He only has 6 blockers, 5 linemen, and Kyron stays in. He knows, see? You've got Smith coming to the left. He's unblocked, but he knows where his hot route is. He has an answer. And that, to me, is the next level of playing quarterback that Matthew can really do extremely well. And Brian Flores, to me, he's unbelievable at dialing things up. And if you have a quarterback that's a little unsure, how Sam Darnold was today, all of a sudden now you're like, I don't have an answer. Where Matthew's the type of quarterback that's going to go up there, change the protection, and he takes a peek there. If Harrison Smith comes, I know that I'm hot, and my answer is the tight end. Boom. He's hot, tight end. It's that simple, but again, you're going to the point where in a split second, you're changing protection. You're telling the running back what to do. You're taking a glance on who's blitzing and who's not. And then you're over there making a decision on where to throw the football. So he's a guy that is kind of a Brian Flores kryptonite because Flores loves to do all sorts of exotic things. And Matthew basically said, good luck, boss. You think I can't figure this out? I've been playing for a long time. Bing, bing, bing. And all of a sudden, it's 24-3.
And Flores, we've been praising him all season. So, yeah, just a rough night for the Vikings. I feel like Vikings fan and our producer, Kyle Lawson, who's hurting right now.
He is.
He's really feeling it.
We watched the game up there, and I joined the Vikings bandwagon. I was pretty amped. I thought Sam Darnold was going to bounce back.
Sure.
Jay, the other thing I'll say that was disappointing for me is as a pro athlete, like this isn't intramurals, guys, a bad game, maybe you'll have another one. Most professional athletes, when they do have a bad game, the fact that they've made it to the pros means they have a little toughness, a little grit to them.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, that was a fluke. I'm coming out here and I'm really going to, stop these rumors, stop these talking heads like myself from saying that I'm not going to be here. And to be honest, I thought he played worse tonight operationally than he did against Detroit.
Even the end of the game, when they're down 27-9 or whatever, and there's, like Troy Aikman was talking about it, there's no urgency from the Vikings.
And that also hurt my heart because I have been in games where, we were down in the playoffs, and as much as people like to, poke jabs at Russ, we could be down 20 points, and he's coming into that huddle frothing at the mouth thinking, hey, there's still 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
We can make this happen. And for Troy Aikman to say that from the booth, I thought that was a pretty big indictment on the Vikings as a whole.
Rams are 4th seed in the playoffs, just like they were when they won the Super Bowl 3 seasons ago in Rams' house. So Stafford now 5-1 in the playoffs with the Rams. They take on the Eagles next weekend. I feel like you like their chances there.
Jay, I like a lot of things the Rams are doing. I think the defense the young guys are really playing well.
Yeah.
I don't love the matchup. I don't love the matchup for them in the sense of I thought they'd actually match up better against Detroit. It's a kind of a defense where Matthew can get rolling a little bit, throw the ball around. This is a very, very good defense in Philadelphia. They're not really going to bring a ton of pressures. They're going to line up, going to get open. They're going to bring, a lot of pressure with just their front 4. So I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Rams, and offensively, stopping Saquon Barkley is going to be an issue. But Matthew's done crazier things. Again, I think it'll be a good game, and we'll see what version of Jalen Hurts we get.
Yes.
But I don't love the, matchups going into this one.
Interesting. Well, let's just hope A.J. Brown's busy reading books on the sideline for Matthew Stafford.
I hear you. If they can stop Jalen, I think they have a much better shot. Let's put it that way.